Welcome to my corner tea bar. This is a review of a 1990s date fragrance, Shou from quiche teas. Quiche teas. Um, let's say, yeah, it's a rye brick. It's 250 grams. It was it like 35 bucks, I believe. Um, yeah, I had a little bit already, and I just like knifed some of this out for you to see. Looks pretty old. What is it, like 30 some years old? Um, I warmed up my guy one here already and my cup and everything, so not gonna be so boring. I'm gonna try to do three. Uh, it was not very long lasting, so I know that about it. It it was nice, but it didn't last forever. Kind of want to like piece it out a little bit, actually. There you go. So this water, pretty hot right here. Get it immediately rinsed out. Mmm. Vintage, old book pages, grandpa's furniture. Kind of like the wood handle of like one of those old tools, you know. It's got that dry old wood smell more than composty kind of stuff. Nothing there. My nose got overwhelmed by that. So let's see, just hit it. Um, One thing that I've been doing with the rinse is that I drink a little bit. Oh, but you gotta clean the teeth, dude. I eat sometimes, some of those sandwiches at the gas station because I have no time, and I just end up, eating some garbage. I guess a little bit of the rinse is not gonna hurt me that much. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I want to get my mouth all ready for it. Now I'm not gonna be spitting around here. It's actually pretty good. Just a little water here, little like little introduction. Let's see. Let's see what's up. First brew. It's hot. I always burn myself, and I regret it when I do it like this. When I grab the guy one like this, I always end up burning my fingers. That's why, man, it even like made my nose itch because it hurt so much. I always like to grab it like this because as you see, all of my guy ones have a plate. It just doesn't burn me like this. If I grab it like that, like whatever, man, all classy, I get burned. It's kind of like that camphor a little bit. And yeah, it should mean the aftertaste of the rinse is sweet. I should be using one of them clay pots. Have that one for Shou for ribes. This one for liu bao and lightly smoked things. And those two, there's one extra one of those, and one that I am just maybe want to use for oolongs at some point. They're not expensive, only $60. You know. Mm. Yeah, yeah. It hits me kind of like with the feeling of an elegant wood, like oaky or oak and walnut. It reminds me of coffee somehow, like coffee with milk, like latte. Has a lot of depth, and you can definitely taste the age. Warm, the yang kind of tea for sure. I have not looked at any reviews or anything about it, so there you go. It's it's very like serious, like when you smell inside of one of an instrument. You know what I mean? It's got that dry wood kind of way of enveloping your mouth. I feel it kind of like the upper part of my mouth more than the rest. Salivating, sweet kind of feeling afterwards. It gives me a lot of that heat, you know, that the breath. I was thinking about the zhuangzi. The first story of the zhuangzi talked about a fish called kun and a bird called peng, and it describes how majestically big these guys are. They're just incomparably big in how's their experience and in that sense, and why is that they wouldn't be able to swim in a puddle. They need an ocean to swim or to fly amongst continents because it wouldn't be able to fly in a backyard and something like that. I'm making up my own things. I shouldn't have put oil in my hands before handling all this slippery stuff, but I actually was putting oil in the dog. Dog tummy gets dry. Anyhow, so in the process of describing how big they are and how majestic they are and how they need a big substrate to be able to exist and move and feel normal. Um, then there are smaller creatures making fun of them and saying like, "Why would you want to be like that? That's ridiculous. Like I'm fine, like as I am, being a tiny bug that just jumps over bushes or whatever, or a quail that just jumps and flutters around and then it falls on the floor like a few yards away." And they have this disdain for the the way these other beings have to live, that they are so far that they cannot be understood. And then it talks about the fact that small consciousness cannot understand big consciousness, and that is really difficult to, in a way, it's just really difficult to put yourself on someone else's shoes, and especially when like what they're dealing with, you just can't even comprehend. Um, so it's tough, to be able to perceive realities that are so far from what we are. able to perceive. And not to get a little bit complicated here, but it really reminded me of the talks of consciousness and the fact like that, you know, we just try to understand things through our interface, the way we're understanding the world and reality, and all that has to do with what we have as senses and perception. But that does not mean at all that that's all there is for reality, what we can perceive. And that consciousness in itself is not determined to things that are alike us and that somewhat resemble us are the only ways in which consciousness exists. And he goes all the way to say that, you know, the universe is mind and whatever. We just can't perceive, we can't understand it because we are so far apart. And such is the example that subatomic physics, Newtonian physics, relativity, and so on, like astrophysics, they all have a point where like they don't work anymore. There is like a threshold in which that changes, right? So it's kind of that threshold in which like when is something alive or not, when is something conscious or not. And I always constantly think about that moment where you're like magnifying glass and you're like seeing something big and then you keep going out and then suddenly boop, it goes blurry and then it turns into upside down image. So what is that threshold, right? Where things like go upside down. So yeah, that's the weird philosophical talk of today. More more important sometimes is just to bring up a subject and ask some questions and have something to think about other than having an answer and having an explanation or try to like tell people this is how it goes. To ponder on that, right? Having an empty cup so you can put tea in it. Which one is that cup that zhuangzi is presenting there? You know what can we put in there? It's a very robust kind of like it feels. I could imagine it like that when it goes through my throat, then it just like expands in my chest. I was feeling very tired before I started drinking this tea, and I am feeling way better now. So, a couple of cups in, and I'm like, oh yeah, this thing is good. The aftertaste that I was having while I was talking was sweet. Still have the mouth feel. Um, Huigan, how's that called? Huigan or whatever. That lingering taste that tea can give you. I do this a lot. I don't know what's up with that. I'm glad that that wasn't a hair. It's mellow. It's somewhat sharp. Doesn't have like a round, um, taste to it. But honestly, you're gonna beat me up if you could get through the screen. But I put a little bit of salt in HS. Like in some HS they just call for salt, and it doesn't. No, it's not to make it salty. Like when you eat a chocolate chip cookie, you don't think of chocolate chip cookie as a salty item, right? But it has salt in the recipe. It makes all the other flavors pop. And there is something about a little tiny bit of salt, Celtic salt, in my opinion. When you put it on Hecha, it's just like that, just makes it good. So this brewing is just kind of like people will do it because I don't really know anyone who puts a little bit of salt in it except for that guy Dan or Dave from Phoenix Collection, all the way in Lagunitas in California, he showed me that. Here's salt. A couple of things of salt that I have. And if you're gonna get emotional about it, let me tell you that Lu Yu, or you don't know who Lu Yu is, well, put down the phone and go and grab the phone again and look up who Lu Yu is for tea. They wrote the classic of tea, and dude was considered a tea deity, like a tea god. There are little statues of Lu Yu in places and stuff. So important dude. Well, in his classic of tea, I have that book right there. There are mentions of the salt vessel and salt used in tea and whatnot. You know what I mean? But you need to know that Lu Yu was an enthusiast of tea, but he also was a clown, literally. He got a contract with tea vendors to make some sort of like a guide of how to drink tea and what you need and all of that, and that tea business could hand out to people, and that's kind of how he did the first one, kind of short, and then later on he was so successful that later on did another one. But it wasn't easy to get there. He was kind of like broke, worked in a circus, but finally got lucky and got picked up by a powerful person. He was a knowledgeable guy, well read, had a lot to talk about, probably extroverted, and smooching his way into that. Had a little interruption there. Alexis joining us with this tea tasting. That will be the fourth one. You already had a cup, and I invited him to like join, but I forgot to put a microphone on him. So, but you see how close it is to that 2007 high one.
Yeah, it's super similar. The taste.
And this is a Shou Puerh, and the old one supposedly is a Sheng Puerh, right?
Right.
They're both very nice, very very close in that kind of like old um, wood, dry wood. So, what does it reminds you of? Is there anything you want to say about it?
The texture, is that the right word?
Mm-hmm.
The texture is much less like round and dull, like the Taiwan. At least how I remember. It's been a while since I've had it, I think. It's much less dull and milky in the texture. Like, I don't know how would you describe that?
I don't know. It's like because the perception we have is different. That's how you're perceiving it, right?
It's like very dry. It's like drinking
This one?
water. No, the other one. The high one is like drinking water after not drinking water at all, and you're super exhausted from like doing some kind of exercise.
It's like a hot water instead of like.
Huh?
It's like hot water.
Yeah.
Like minerally.
Mineral. Yeah, exactly. It's like thicker.
Yeah.
It's thicker. This one is like smoother, more like the sharp edge of a knife, kind of like.
Yeah, I find this sharper, a little bit more like serious, and it's
Exactly.
kind of the same thing that you'll find in high one, but I think because it's from the 90s, this is like 30 years old tea, right?
This one.
Yeah, that we can taste that same age, which is similar. I don't know how it was storage, probably the same because it comes from Taiwan. It's a very nice,
You can see through it.
yeah, clear jewel like dark amber caramel, like burnt caramel color. I mean, it's very nice. It definitely is a tea that is worth drinking. But it reminds me very much of the 2007 high one.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that is to me very much the same profile of like old book, kind of like wood, old wood, old furniture kind of a thing, and it has on top of that a sweetness, and it's called date fragrance. So I don't I don't smell any dates anywhere. I mean, unless they're talking about like
Put your nose all the way in the cup.
maybe a date that the dude had with someone, and that someone smelled like this tea, but I don't think it's the fruit. I don't know.
Smell. Put your after you drink it. Put your nose all the way in the cup, like I did. I smell it.
Maybe a cold nose. Maybe. I mean, my nose is pretty fucked.
Yeah, I smell it.
The date fragrance?
Oh, 100%.
Really?
It smells like a date.
All right.
Either that or it's confirmation bias.
Well, there is definitely a sweeter profile on this tea compared to you know tea like the 2007 high one we were talking about. That's a Shang, right? Supposedly. And this will be what, fifth? It keeps on giving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Nope. The other way. Keeps on giving. Yeah, a little bit more
Oh,
there.
I see. Oh, we had it backwards this morning.
Yeah, I mean, then it stays there, and then I bring it here, and then I bring it there, and then bring it here. It's just whatever. It's a very nice to my nose to like just inhale that vapor. But I can definitely taste the age. It's been drinking some Dayi um, ripe Puerh, but it's younger. It does not have that at all, that character of an old tea. It's very, very good.
Mm.
Sweet. It has more of that welcoming. So it will be a tea to present to people that are not very familiar with Shou, and that you could brew it with endurance, like Gong it better. I feel less likely to want to put this on a thermos overnight.
Yeah,
I
this
feel
is
more likely to do this.
this is a gunfo tea
This is a Gong tea
for
at this
sure.
point. Yeah. But other pours, ripe pours, I will want to put them on a thermos and leave them steeping with boiling water overnight, and then just
Would you put the high one?
no.
No.
That's what I'm saying. There's a point where like I don't know if I would do that. And I don't do that with any other tea. Some people do with whatever tea, even white tea, whatever, like black tea. But to me, that's not what I'm looking for with that kind of dank, dark brew that I get from an overnight thermos. In this case, it really has a journey to be had from the beginning when I started drinking it till now. It's making my mouth salivate sweeter. It has a very nice travel through the session, and I think I should make another move, right?
Mm-hmm.
Six. It's getting to the seventh. I mean, for the ripe to have a seventh steep, it's pretty good. That you want to be like, okay, I want to have another one. It doesn't like really turn into this like insipid, like just you know ink water. I think that this will be probably the last one, starting to like turn more like yellowish orange. that old character is still there more than anything else. They all leave kind of a.
Dude, I have to cough so bad.
You want to cough? Well,
She was bad, man. I was like,
try not to cough. Yeah.
okay, I'm good now. Sorry. It went down the wrong pipe.
Yeah. All right. Good one. Good review.
What the fuck?